this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden, the Sage of the Six Paths finally chooses his successor, and it leads to a massive battle between the brothers Indra and Ashura. Now this episode is what I'm talking about. We finally got some big explosive action and an awesome battle between Indra and Ashura. Big shock, Ashura is the one that the Sage of the Six Paths is going to choose as his successor, and guess what? Indra is super pissed off about this. In fact, he decides to throw a shit fit by killing two of his closest companions, which activates his Mangekyo Sharingan for the very first time. I am a little disappointed that it basically looks exactly like Sasuke's. He even goes as far as to use the Susanoo technique in this episode. Despite that, the confrontation with Ashura and the Sage of the Six Paths and Indra is pretty damned awesome. I especially love Ashura in this episode, who uses a technique which I can only describe as a lot of Rasengans inside of another bigger Rasengan, and then he fires it like a freaking Kamehameha blast. The biggest thing about this episode is we get to see the very origins of Indra and Ashura and the very beginnings of the Senju and Uchiha clans. We also get to see how they're constantly reincarnated over the generations until we lead up to Naruto and Sasuke. However, the past has a lot of really interesting things going for it. The battle between Indra and Ashura is just explosive, to say the least, and I have to say it's really awesome because the Susanoo that Indra uses is absolutely massive and ridiculous. And then you have Ashura, through the power of Ninshu and his friends, is able to conjure that massive Buddha statue, which is the one that was used by Hashirama Senju, the wood-style technique, which absolutely dwarfs the Susanoo in every single way, and just completely pummels Indra into the dirt with a flurry of thousands of punches. It was awesome. Now, why was Ashura chosen over Indra? Aside from the fact that Indra has been manipulated by Zetsu and relies too much on the power of his Sharingan, it's because Indra does everything by himself. He doesn't rely on others, and that's not the point of Ninshu at all. It's to be able to have a strong connection with the people around you, and that's what Ashura did. He relied on the help of others to save this village. Thus, they were a lot stronger, they were much happier, and it's for this reason that their bonds cannot be as easily broken. However, despite all of this, Indra has just suddenly turned into an evil villain. He even visits his father on his deathbed, letting him know that no matter what happens, he and his brother are going to constantly be reincarnated, and this war is going to go on forever. The scene where the Sage of the Six Paths is on his deathbed is also really great because they actually do a remix of that classic Naruto music, Sadness and Sorrow, which actually just appeared on the newest Naruto Shippuden soundtrack. So to finally hear that again was fantastic. I could actually feel the tears welling up in my eyes. That's how effective that music is. It totally reminded me of the old days, and I can't wait to hear it again in some more of the future episodes of the series. What I will say is, this arc honestly wasn't all that bad. I definitely ragged on it a couple of times, and I still stand by the fact that there were some of the episodes that were a little slow, but the lead up to this episode was pretty awesome. I loved all of the action in this episode, and I might have a much firmer understanding and appreciation of the backstory of Hagoromo Otsutsuki, his family, as well as Kaguya as well, to see where basically the entire Naruto universe came from. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden? This was a pretty damn good episode right here, filled to the brim with a lot of action. There was certainly a lot of build up to this. The initial part of the episode was Indra just basically getting super pissed off and getting his Mangekyo Sharingan. And then everybody in the village was having a big party celebrating the fact that Ashura was going to be the brand new successor. Ashura himself is very humble. He himself didn't even really want to be the successor. He felt that he wasn't as powerful as his brother, but his father reassured him it's the bonds that he shared with people which allowed him to become the successor, why he's going to be the perfect person to carry on the word of Ninshu. If it wasn't for Zetsu manipulating all of these events, these things might have been a lot different. We can really blame Kaguya at the end of the day for all of the things that are going on here for creating Black Zetsu. The best thing about this episode, though, has got to be the action and the atmosphere. All the action scenes, while not the most groundbreaking things I've seen from the Naruto series, were explosive, massive, and impactful, and that's what I really loved about it. And I loved the reprise of Sadness and Sorrow in this episode. It really added a lot of atmosphere to that scene where he was on his deathbed. Surprisingly enough, it seems like the next episode of Naruto Shippuden is going to be a side story before we move on to the final parts of the Naruto series. Something that's really shocking, to say the least. A lot of people who see it are going to immediately think that it is filler. It's actually not. It's actually based on this special manga chapter that Kishimoto drew a few years ago, which is actually going to all be about the reveal of Kakashi's face. That's right. In the next episode, we are finally going to see what Kakashi looks like, which, even now, knowing what he looks like, before they revealed his face and everything in the manga chapter, I never really wanted to see Kakashi's face, to be perfectly honest. I always liked the fact that it was a complete mystery, but it's really not too shocking, and in fact, if you want a little bit of a, warning, he looks a lot like his dad, in many senses. Just a little bit younger, but the way that's going to play out in the next episode seems like it's going to be interesting, and it is worth noting that the artwork and the animation in the next episode looks pretty damn stellar. I'm surprised they're doing it for an episode like that, and not for a big action episode like the one that we had here, or maybe some of the ones that we have coming up later. The good news is the backstory is all done, and it might have actually gotten some Naruto fans to have a greater appreciation for the Sage of the Six Paths, Kaguya, and their entire family. And I think this arc was effective in doing that, especially for hardcore Naruto fans. That being said, I'm really excited to finally get back into the real material, so we can get back to the end of the story. I cannot wait to see how they're going to wrap up these final battles. They're going to be really exciting. We are on the tail end of the Naruto Shippuden anime series, my friends, so strap in for excitement. But before we get there, we have a nice little fun, goofy episode next week, which, like I said, may look like filler, but Kishimoto drew it himself, so let's just take it for what it is. It is a little random that it's coming at this point in the story, but whatever. Let's just take that for what it is and try to enjoy it, because it's only a matter of time before the big final battles of Naruto Shippuden begin. So, I liked this episode. I don't think it was a perfect episode. I still think some of the animation and the artwork was a little sloppy at times, but for the most part, this was a very exciting episode with lots of action and shedding some light on the history and the origins of the Naruto universe. So I'm going to give this episode right here a 4 out of 5. Check it out, Naruto fans! You might see something you like. But if any of you did watch this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden, make sure to tell me what you thought about it in the comment section below. What did you think of the big battle between Indra and Ashura? What do you want to see in this upcoming Kakashi's face reveal episode? And what do you want to see from the rest of the Naruto Shippuden anime series? You guys are kick-ass. Thank you for watching this review. I really appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. That way you'll be able to see all of our latest anime and manga reviews. Thank you guys again for watching. And as always, stay dandy, baby.